Welcome to Limelight Arts Travel's podcast, Talking Travel. I'm Kathleen Olive. Some of the most special and rewarding moments of travel are those times when we happen to witness regional festivities. It's a joy to watch a community come together to celebrate what makes it unique, and it's even more enriching when, as travellers, we're invited to participate in these authentic moments. In this episode, Senior Product Manager Mark Lalor talks with Gwen Baines about one of Japan's most local and treasured festivities. Gwen is the coordinator for international relations in the Aomori Prefectural Government's Tourism and International Affairs Strategy Bureau. Aomori, in the region of Tohoku in the north of Honshu Island, is famous across Japan for a giant lantern festival that takes place there in the temperate northern summer. Japanese aim to visit the town during the Nebuta Matsuri at least once in their life, so we're thrilled to be including the celebrations on our upcoming tour, Hokkaido and Tohoku, the road north. Gwen explains to Mark what makes this festival so special and what we can expect of this joyous experience.
This is Mark from Limelight Arts Travel, and I'm here with a representative from Aomori Tourism, and we're going to talk today about the Aomori Nebuta Festival. So my first question is, what is the Aomori Nebuta Festival?
So Aomori Nebuta is a festival that's held in Aomori City from the 2nd to the 7th of August every year. And during that festival period, there are these large floats called Nebuta, which depict historical and mythological figures, and they're paraded through the city.
Fantastic. So can you tell us more about some of the history of the festival, how long it's been going for, how it came about?
So we don't actually know the precise origin of the Nebuta Festival because there's no written record from the time. The first record of the festival dates back to 1842, so towards the end of the Edo period. And it's thought that the lantern floats of the current size, the ones you see today, first appeared after the Second World War.
Amazing. That's great. And what is the cultural significance to the people of Aomori for the festival, or in general to the Japanese people?
So, as I just said, we're not sure of the precise origins, but it's thought to be a combination of the Tanabata Festival, a festival that came over from China, and folk customs that had existed in Aomori since ancient times. And it was intended to ward off the sleepiness that would affect the summer work before bringing in the autumn harvest, and also to pray for good health. And then little by little, it's changed into the Aomori Nebuta Festival as we know it today.
And for the people in Australia who don't know what Tanabata is, can you just briefly explain?
So that's a festival. It's also celebrated in Japan the 7th of July. It's the tradition of the Weaver Star and the Herdsman Star meeting over the Milky Way. They were lovers who were separated by the Weaver Star's father, and so they're star-crossed lovers who meet once a year. And so even though we also celebrate Tanabata in Aomori, we think the Nebuta Festival sort of also developed partly out of that, and so we celebrate both.
Okay, so it's important to the locals based more on the agricultural traditions. Is that what it means?
Came out of agricultural tradition,
okay,
yeah.
Sure. Because I know Tanabata is more the romantic story from Japan. And how do the locals get involved?
So there's a variety of different roles. Pulling the floats is a big one. That need a lot of people to do that, and providing the musical accompaniment, so the drums, the cymbals, and the flutes, and also taking part as dancers called haneto. It's a special type of dance, which is part of the festival.
Great. Do they have to do lots of practice?
No, it's very simple, and so simple, in fact, that as long as you're wearing the right costume, you can just turn up and participate.
Oh, that's amazing. So our guests coming on the tour could participate if they liked.
Absolutely.
I understand they
stopped.
Hire costumes from the museum, is that right?
There are places throughout the city that rent out or sell the costumes. Obviously the free participation for the Haneto was stopped during COVID, but now it's back.
It's back. So we're all normal after the COVID period now. That's great.
Yep.
We don't have anything like this in Australia, so it's pretty unusual for our people coming over to see something like this and particularly be able to participate. Can you explain some of how the lanterns are made? Because these are huge floats, aren't they?
Yeah. So the whole process takes months. We have creators who are designated as Nebuta masters, and they will get a request from a Nebuta organisation to make a float for the next festival. So then the first stage is them sketching out their design, and so they're often based on historical tales, myths, and also stories from kabuki theatre. And then they will work together with lots of people to put the floats together, to build the floats.
And they're volunteers?
With the colleague. So some of them are volunteers, yes, and then some of them are also disciples of the Nebuta masters. So, a variety of different people. It can be through family. So if your father was a Nebuta master, you're also trained as a Nebuta master, and it can also be to disciples who are not part of the family. So then they would be inducted into the Nebuta tradition.
Amazing. What's Aomori comes alive at this time? What's the atmosphere during the time of the festival?
So before the festival itself starts, it's apart from the last day, it's in the evening, so from about 7. So up until then, you start to see people, gathering around the parade route, around the festival area, wearing their costumes. So the Haneto have particular costumes, and then the people drawing the floats have costumes.
Okay.
And the musical accompanists, so you sort of recognise
the different people involved.
And the Haneto dancers also have bells attached to their costumes, so you can hear them coming. And there's as with a lot of Japanese festivals, there are food stalls. The bars are open, and everybody will be trying to get seats to see the parade. So the crowds will be gathering from sort of hours before.
So it's more than just the parade; it's the whole town comes alive with the food stalls,
you
say, and obviously souvenirs, I suppose, things like that.
Yeah.
Sale, miniature floats and lanterns and things like that, I suppose.
Oh yeah, the city's decorated from, starting in July in the lead up. There are miniature floats called Kingyo Nebuta. They're goldfish shaped.
Yeah.
Floats, I guess. And they'll be attached to lampposts and so on. So yeah, the whole city is decorated, and you can see the Haneto costumes on display because shops will be advertising that we rent them or we sell them, and you can buy Nebuta themed bags and all kinds of things.
Why is that? What makes it so unique?
One of the main things is the Nebuta themselves. These huge, delicate, intricate floats that are the sort of main part of the parade. And then you've got the other two parts that make up the festival. So the musical accompanists and then the Haneto. The atmosphere of the festival is just so participatory. Like, even if you're not officially joining as a Haneto, there's they'll try and engage the crowd, and you sort of can't help but sort of move to the music while you're watching it, because it's really energetic. But a major part of the appeal is the fact that anyone can participate as a haneto. As I say, it's a very simple dance. There's no sort of long training process. So as long as you're in the proper costume, you can turn up and be in the festival. So it's a great thing for tourists as well as locals.
Right. And people can see floats in the museum from previous years, can't they, on display?
Yes. So the previous year's top 4, I believe, are displayed in the Warase Nebuta Museum for the next year. So there are all the floats are rated. It's a competition, and there are prizes given out. So the mayoral prize and various other prizes. So those top ones. So it's not just any floats; it's the best of the best. But yeah, so they're there for the next year, and then they'll be replaced by the newest ones and so on.
So we can visit the museum before we attend the festival and get an idea of how big these floats are, what they look like, the intricacy of the design, the work that goes into them. It's
yeah, and a great thing about the Nebuta Museum actually is they have parts of the floats that you can actually touch. So probably slightly older than probably not the previous years, but exhibits which are deliberately there so that you can feel, and you can sort of go inside and look at, okay, so this is how they're put together. So you get a really good insight into how it all comes together.
And of course, it's not just one night, is it? As you mentioned, I think earlier, it goes for a week, something like that.
So the 2nd to the 7th.
2nd to the 7th, so 5 days.
And the 2nd to the 6th, it's an evening parade, right. And then the last day is always during the day, and then in the evening you have the fireworks and the sending the floats out, those top floats out onto the water on kind of boats, essentially, and then they have to bring them back in. But it's a real spectacle the last
Amazing.
day.
Well, I'm glad we've been able to secure some accommodation to come and visit and see this amazing festival.
You've been listening to Limelight Arts Travel's podcast, Talking Travel. It was recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional custodians of this land and their elders past and present.